Shana Tova. This is Rabbi Elan Babchuck. I'm here for the fifth out of 6 videos in our series, exploring some themes that are put forth by Unatana Tokef on how to take charge of our destiny, on how to be proactive about our fate, not only with regard to our seal in the Book of Life on Yom Kippur, but also about how we enter the new year, what kind of intention we enter the new year with. And Unatana Tokef offers 3 ways to kind of take that control, 3 ways to be proactive. One of them is Teshuvah, acts of returning and forgiveness and atonement. The other is Tefillah, prayer. And the third one that we'll begin with today is tzedakah, acts of charity. And one teaching that I want to begin with, it's kind of a central seminal teaching in Jewish life, and it comes from Pirkei Avot, the wisdom of our ancestors. I think it's sort of a guidebook for ethical living in Jewish life. Very simple precepts, almost like Proverbs. And this one comes from chapter 1, Mishnah 6. Yehoshua ben Prachia and Nitai Ha'arbeli, 2 teachers, taught, Veheve dan et kol ha'adam lakaf zechut. And it's translated, and this is correct, you'll see this in most places, to judge every person favorably. In other words, to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I have to say, I think we're pretty good at doing this, especially, maybe not all the year round, but especially during this period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, when there's just so much heaviness and gravitas and judgment in the air that we become better at looking at other people with a little more kindness and a little more grace and a little more generosity of spirit, or to use the concept of tzedakah, we're a little more charitable with others. You know, one thing that I always try to do myself is that when I see somebody or experience somebody doing something that's just like offensive, or it's just looks like it's not nice, or they say something that just doesn't feel so kind, I try to use the kind of creative part of my brain to come up with a scenario in which whatever it is they're saying, whatever it is they're doing, however it is that they're behaving, not that it's justifiable, not that it's excusable, but that I can understand it. There's a narrative in there somewhere that would at least allow me to understand why that person might have acted that way. And it can be totally fictitious. It can just be in my head. But what it allows me to do, I'm not here to control their behavior. What it allows me to do is control my reaction. That I can actually approach their behavior with a little more generosity and kindness when I can come up with some scenario where it would make sense. Now, of course, there are exceptions to doing this work, exceptions to the creativity, limits to one's own capacity to come up with a narrative that would at least shine a little bit of light. But what you're looking for is the partial truth of that possibility. So maybe you're stuck in traffic and somebody cuts you off, right? And they do it really unkindly and like this close, and you have to screech on your, slam on your brakes, and everything falls off the passenger seat right onto the floor, and you spill your drink, and you're just so angry at this person. You want to lean on the horn or, roll down your window and say something to them, but maybe you pause for a moment and you think, maybe this person's on the way to the hospital. Maybe this person just got that phone call that their loved one is on their deathbed and they're soon to leave this world, and they want to race to the hospital to get there as soon as possible. They can spend one last vanishing liminal moment with their loved one. Maybe you're on Facebook and there's that person who leaves a very mean comment or mean-spirited or aggressive comment or sarcastic, and you want to write back to them, publicly shame them for the way that they're behaving, the way that they're writing. Say, you're wrong, and that's not nice. But you pause for a minute and you say, maybe this person's just having a bad day. They have nowhere else to vent and nowhere else to kind of take it out, and they're putting it on Facebook. And gosh, what must it be like to have had that bad of a day? And so instead of publicly writing to them, you send them a message. You say, hey, are you okay? Maybe you come to a new understanding that way, instead of in a public forum. Or maybe somebody shows up 30 minutes late to a Zoom meeting and you're like twiddling your thumbs the whole time. It's a waste of half an hour of your time. And how dare this person take you and your time for granted. Time is precious and time is fleeting. And this person just stole half an hour. And as soon as they sign in, before you jump into that, maybe you pause for a moment and take a breath and think, maybe this person just has their hands completely full. Maybe they're having a really tough day and maybe they're just juggling too much. And maybe this person had a technological breakdown and their phone broke and the calendar, they couldn't even tell that the meeting was happening. And then they remembered, oh, and now they're here. And whatever reasons you come up with, each and every one of them softens your own resolve to jump down the person's throat or to judge the person unfavorably, and allows you to approach them in that situation with kindness and generosity and with a charitable spirit. But how often do we show ourselves those same kinds of kindness? You see, for us, and I speak for myself personally, I internalize my actions and I experience them often as a reflection of who I am. Not of something I did, or not an anomaly, or I was having a bad day, or I really tried and I failed in that moment. Just, it's who I am. And so I judge myself harshly. I don't give myself the benefit of the doubt. How often do we really look at ourselves as a whole, with gentleness and curiosity and with unconditional love? And maybe you're going through that process of reflection right now, and you keep coming down on the side of judgment and harshness when you're thinking about how you were and who you were in this past year. Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev used to teach a different translation, a different interpretation of that text that I read earlier, Dan et kol ha'adam l'kaf zechut, to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. He reads it, not everyone, but kol ha'adam, the entirety of a person. Not all people, but the entirety of a person. The good, the bad, and the ugly. My friends, this has not been an easy year. So as we go into Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat of returning, let us welcome the versions of ourselves that we judged harshly with open arms. Let's let those versions of ourselves return back. And in the spirit of Unatana Tokef, let's be truly and generously charitable with ourselves and with all those around us. Gmar Chatima Tova. May your seal in the book of life be for good.